Clayton Kershaw looks great. Walker Buehler, not so much. Rumors are now spreading both of Carlos Vela leaving LAFC and Chicharito leaving the Galaxy. And I'm starting to understand just why I don't like the WNBA. Aside from the fact that they don't play very well. But we'll get to that in a second. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. We have a lovely amount of notes to get to. It is June 12th, 2022. I want to start off by thanking the new subscribers that joined the channel yesterday. If you like the content that we've been putting out for the last couple of months, feel free to clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. We put out new videos between 9 and 10 a.m. every day to let you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. I ain't perfect. And besides, I'm in a great mood. I'm back at the home studio. Now, before we start breaking down what Walker Buehler and the Dodgers face, let's get to the scores. Let's get to the notes. Yesterday up in San Francisco, Clayton Kershaw did return. He actually looked pretty doggone good. He only allowed 2 runs. The Dodgers offense, however, did not look good. They left 14 runners on base and lose to the Giants 3-2. And by the way, that series is going to conclude today at 1 o'clock. Julio Urias will take the mound. He's 3-5. Carlos Rodon for the Giants. He's 4-4. The Dodgers still lead the NL West after all that drama. Meanwhile, Fred Williams made his debut as the interim coach for the LA Sparks. And all this talk, oh, now that Derek Fisher's gone, yeah, we're going for it. We're going for the WNBA championship. And then they all get their fannies paddled 89-72 to Las Vegas. Well done, ladies. Well done. This is really, I want to break this down really quickly, right? WNBA first comes out, and back then, Jim Rome was really, really popular, and he made a big name for himself by clowning the way that the women looked. You know, he gave them all names like horses that you would see in the Kentucky Derby. I didn't want to go there. I don't think it's cool. You know, and besides that, I was actually doing regular journalism where you're not supposed to do those sort of things. But then, of course, they try to say, oh, yeah, the quality of the basketball is great. And I was like, I watched a couple of games. I was like, nope, this isn't good. But after 25 years, I wanted to give the Sparks the benefit of the doubt. My problem? They are not nice people. It just seems to me that they are not nice people. They're all talk and no results. They went out, Derek Fisher gets run. Now, you may not think he's a good coach, but you still, say, hey, we got to look in the mirror, judge what we did wrong. Did they? Oh, no. They just slammed the door on him and talked about how it's all great and how they're going to win a championship, and they get their asses kicked by 17 points. If there's one thing I can't stand is all talk. So no, I did in fact start off with the Sparks. I guess I'm not looking for ratings. That's okay. Galaxy. Chicharito has sold his LA mansion. Now, it's led some to speculate that he's on his way out of the LA Galaxy. Wrong. The man has yet to say a single thing about not wanting to play in LA. By that logic, by the way, soccer media, Aaron Donald would have retired from the Rams. He sold his mansion 2 months ago. So come up with a better reason for him leaving the Galaxy. On the other hand, the Mexican press is also suggesting hardcore that Carlos Vela wants to return to Chivas. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are some Galaxy fans who are like, I thought I already was playing for Chivas USA. Look, let's be fair to LAFC. There's only one reason, why Carlos Vela might be eyeing a return to Guadalajara. He trained with them way back when he was a teenager. The only reason any of this makes sense is the man hasn't signed his contract yet. And I have no idea why. The contract that he does have ends on June 30th. There's an offer. He's allegedly accepted it. He's never signed it. Yesterday, we talked a little UCLA football. There's a preseason Pac-12 all-conference team out, and I mentioned that UCLA had a couple of Bruins on the first team, so don't look past them. Yeah, USC, 5. Quarterback Caleb Williams, wide receiver Jordan Allison, running back Travis Dye. There's a guard, so finally we have some people who started their career at USC, Andrew Voorhees, and defensive lineman Tuli Tuipulotu. And I'm getting very, very close to pronouncing that gentleman's name correctly, so I feel pretty happy about that. UCLA, they hired a new basketball assistant coach, Imu Simovic. Now, he's from Serbia, which explains the pause before I mentioned his last name. He is a former international scout for the San Antonio Spurs. So as a result, a lot of scribes, both local and national, are saying, hey, this guy means UCLA might open up international recruiting. But would they? Would they? Their recruiting class is top 5 with Mike Cronin. I think they're doing a bang-up job of recruiting on its own. Now, don't get me wrong. If this guy opens up one recruit that balls for him for 1 year, that's great. But I don't think they're going to be as international as the San Antonio Spurs lineup tends to be. Maybe it's just that Mr. Simovic can actually coach. Maybe we got to consider that possibility. By the way, the Angels, we don't talk about them because they're not Los Angeles, but they do have City Connect jerseys that don't mention Anaheim. They call themselves the Los Angeles Angels on the patch. They finally wore them at a game for the first time. I was curious about how the fans would react. Nobody cared. Okay, fair. What do you say we talk about the Dodgers? By the way, before we get to the main topics about their players, their current players, former Dodger great Steve Sax, he said his son was killed last week. Captain John Sax, 33 years old. He was killed in a flight crash. It was training in Imperial Valley. There were 5 fighting men killed in the process. I've always liked Steve Sax, respected the hell out of him. Definitely will be thinking and praying for his family tonight. Andrew Heaney has one more rehab start. That'll come Tuesday, which means he could be back with the Dodgers next Sunday. Now, let's talk about Walker Buehler. He left Friday's game. He was complaining of discomfort in the right elbow, and we were talking about how discomfort with the Dodgers is a real big understatement. I mean, Clayton Kershaw had discomfort. He was out for a couple of months. Andrew Heaney out for a couple of months, discomfort. They're downplaying these injuries when they say discomfort, but now we have a more precise definition. He has a right flexor strain in his forearm. Now, let's break it down. He's going to be out for 6 weeks to 8 months. There will not be surgery planned. I was thinking that means he's probably coming back in August. A sports writer last night, though, said no, they're thinking September. So maybe it's not 6 to 8 weeks. They're still being vague. Michael Grove is back up with the big team. Now, Walker Buehler this year, for him, he was struggling for a pitcher of his level. 6-2 with a 3.84 ERA and a 1.31 whip. Now, what a whip is, for those who aren't stats obsessed, think of an average of base runners per inning, okay? So 1.311 is actually pretty high, not just for him, but for a pitcher in general. He had an MRI yesterday of his elbow. Now, you might sit there and go, James, why would you have an MRI of the elbow if your forearm hurts? Well, thankfully, I can tell you. Because once I left journalism, when the journalism industry imploded, I work in healthcare now. I run MRIs. People will come in and they'll go, well, why aren't you taking pictures of my whole arm? And it's because that would take all day. And if this part doesn't hurt, we're not going to worry about it. So people would come in and they'll say that my forearm hurts. Now, I am not a doctor. I am not trying to diagnose Walker Buehler. I'm simply trying to tell you how they reached this conclusion. The doctor would look at the forearm for a mass, a lump, which in Buehler's case as an athlete is unlikely, but you could get a lump. If there's no lump, Here's the way it works. You have a muscle or muscles in your forearm. They don't just float. They have to attach. They attach with tendons, both at the elbow and of course at the wrist. And of course your bicep, which attaches to the shoulder of the elbow and so on. So what they're thinking is, if they don't see a mass there, is they're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, one of the tendons snapped. That would have been big problems for a pitcher. A tendon snaps, that's through when you start talking about things like Tommy John surgery, and you're done for at least a calendar year. So they had an MRI on the elbow to make sure the tendons were still there. They are there. They're simply flared up. The thing that attaches the forearm muscle to the elbow has flared up. Okay? That is what the doctors are basically trying to say. And what they're trying to do is avoid surgery at all costs, because again, you're talking about Tommy John surgery. And oh, by the way, Walker Buehler has already had Tommy John surgery. This is how Walker Buehler's draft stock fell to the back of the first round in the MLB draft years ago. Walker Buehler shouldn't have fallen to the Dodgers that late in the first round, but he did because of the Tommy John surgery. Now, regarding the team, I'm going to tell you why I'm not concerned in the long run. One, they just got Clayton Kershaw back. Two, they're about to get Andrew Heaney back. Look, it was literally earlier this week, less than a week ago, when we were saying they're going to have Kershaw back, they're going to have Heaney back, they might have a 6-man rotation. Now they're just going to have a 5-man rotation. Kershaw, Heaney, 2 pitchers that are 7-0 in Tony Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson. And Julio Urias, a former 20-game winner, is your number 5 starter. Does that look awful to you? Because it doesn't to me. And we still haven't mentioned the possibility of people that the Dodgers might get at the trading deadline. So no, I'm not panicking in the slightest. And neither should you. I will grant you that we all had high hopes for Walker Buehler winning a Cy Young this year. Is it painful to lose a guy like Walker Buehler? Yeah. But I still have every reason to believe that the Dodgers are going to win the division rather comfortably. The question is, when the trade deadline comes around, do they have to make a move to improve the rotation for the playoffs? And we're going to find out then. So, be of good cheer. I am content with a rotation of Kershaw, Heaney, Urias, Gonsolin, and Anderson. And you should too. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, by all means, like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're trying to build something for LA sports. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.